Hi, I'm Mike Hanberger from TrickyFast Studios. In this video, I'm going to go over how the RPG example in Cat Game Builder uses the storage system. By the end of this video, you should have a good idea of how to use the storage system to save elements and various state machines. First, let's open up the scene here. It's an examples and RPG, Cat RPG. And if you played this, you might have noticed that it does save pretty much everything about the state. See, I start off with 10 gold. Need to go talk to this guy. So I'm going to go talk to him.
Hello.
Heck yeah. Now I'm on a different stage of the quest where I need to find the monster, kill the monster, and then return to the NPC. So let's just wander over here a bit. Let's go find the monster. Found the monster, let's run away. Alright, now let's just take a look at the quest log again. We found the monster, it's checked off. Stop. Start again. And you can see we started back in pretty much the same spot that we left off. Our current quest is kill the monster. If we look in here, we see that we're on the same stage that we were before. We've already found the monster. We need to kill him now. So even our health and our gold is persisted. So if we find some gold over here in this chest, and then if we walk over here, hold on for a second. Notice we have 110 gold and our health is down a little bit. I'm going to stop it. Start it again. And we're back about where we were. Our health is down. We have 110 gold and our quest is still the same. So how does that all work, you might ask? It's actually pretty simple. The first thing you want to do on the player object, on its state machine, you want to make sure you set the storage level. So that tells it where to store it. There's a bunch of different storage levels, and they're kind of hierarchical. So obviously, if you set it to none, it's not going to be stored at all. The global storage level is basically for data that affects the whole game and everybody in it. So right now, the storage system that comes with Cat is only local, but we anticipate adding a server-based one as well, in which case you could use it for a multiplayer game. So for the global storage level, that's for all players across the whole game. In the case of local, it's just all players on that computer. When you set it to account, once again, if you were on a server, it would be for just your account that you're logged in as. If you set it to character, it's for the specific character within that account. So accounts can have multiple characters. And then there's a couple options for realm and area. Those are just if you need to sort of separate your game out into sort of zones. That would be like an area, or worlds. That would be a realm, and that means that this data would be specific to either the realm or the zone, or the area. So we set it to character. It doesn't really matter too much in a local game. You probably just don't want it on global. We've set it to persist the transform. That's why whenever we started up and it loaded it again, it was in the same spot it was before. The next option here is this storage key type. So there's two options. There's class name and instance name. These are specific to state machines. So sometimes you're going to want to save your state machines by the class name, which is going to be state machine in this case. And sometimes you're going to want to save them based on what the actual name of the game object is, in this case, player. So if you had multiple NPCs and you wanted to save all of their states and you didn't want them to overlap, you could change this to instance name. And then they would just be saved by their names. Store and list is another handy feature. Once again, if you had a list of NPCs in your scene and you wanted to save them all, you'd probably want to save them in a list. That just makes it easier to store them in one place. And then you can also retrieve them in one place as well. The storage key here is just what you want to call this specific instance. And in our case, we're calling it RPG player. So that's really it for the options. If you don't enter a storage key, by the way, when you actually save it, it'll generate one for you. The only problem there is if you need to retrieve something by that name, you won't know what that name is until after it's saved. So sometimes that's what you want, sometimes it's not. Another thing to note on the player is you may have noticed some of the values getting saved, like the player's health. So if we look under here, under our value holder, you can see we also have set a storage level here. And then some of these are persisting. So there's a persist flag on all these values that we list under the value holder. And if that's on, it'll be persisted with the rest of the value holder. So in this case, we're persisting the health and the gold. Now, the way this gets persisted is that whenever the state machine of the player is saved, it also saves the value holder. If there's any other components on the state machine or the player here, when we're saving it, they'll also get saved as long as they implement an interface called iStorable. So the way state machines work, you can actually directly save them using an action. There's a save state machine action that you can use. However, also if you load them or try to load them, even if it doesn't actually successfully do it, after you've done that, every time they change, they'll get saved back to the local storage or the storage, whatever one you're using. So in this case, we have this RPG game controller that starts up. And it starts whenever the game starts. It doesn't save its state or anything like that. But in the initialize state, we have a load state machine action. So what this is going to do is this is going to load our player. So we've set the storage level to character. This has to match exactly what you have on your state machine for saving. We set the storage key to RPG player. Again, has to match exactly what you have on the player. And then we have a target set here. That target is where we want to load this to. And in this case, it's the player. We don't want to set a parent. If this overwrite option, if it wasn't checked, it would create a copy of player and load the data into that. And that's where this parent would come in. So it's basically would spawn a new player. We don't want to do that. We want to overwrite the existing player. So that's all you need to do to actually just load the player out. The only other little bit that you might want to take a look at is for any of this to work, you do need a local storage service. There's no options to configure for it, but it has to be there. And you can add that from the cat menu under New Services, Local Storage Service. One thing to keep in mind, if you get stuck with a storage service, you can always go up to the menu. Under MISC, there's Clear Local Storage. That'll wipe all the local storage on your machine. And it'll reset all your saved stuff. That way you can start from scratch. Unfortunately, as of now, there's not a way to do this on any devices you might have installed the game on, but at least you can do it in the editor. As far as the Quest service is concerned, it automatically uses the storage service if it's available. The one thing you have to do is if you look at all your quests here, we have this Quest 01, which is the only quest in this thing. We have set the storage level. We set it to global. It really doesn't matter since we're using the local storage service. And then we set a storage key on it. That probably didn't really matter either, because in this case, we're not loading it explicitly. It gets loaded automatically by the Quest service and saved automatically by the Quest service. So you really don't have to worry about it other than making sure your storage level is set. To that end, if you do have a quest that's set to the none storage level, it won't ever be saved. And that's really all there is to it. Your character should save and should be reloaded every time you start the game. So in this video, you should have learned about how you can save data with Cat. I hope you found this video informative and useful. Let us know in the comments if there are other tutorials you'd like to see. And be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media for the latest videos and other news. For more information on CAT and how it can help you prototype and build games faster, please visit turkeyfast.com/cat. I'm Mike Kenverger with Turkeyfast Studios. Thanks for watching.